Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are returning to Burden of Command, an upcoming turn-based role-playing wargame made by Green Tree Games, which puts you in the shoes basically of a company commander during World War II from the beginning in Operation Torch, the beginning of the U.S. involvement that is, all the way through to the conclusion of the war. You're following a unit, the Cottonbalers, which do fight, I believe, through the entirety of the war, from Morocco all the way up into Europe, and we are still in training. This is the fourth episode in this series, and I believe the last of the training missions. I thought the last one was we had a company-sized attack across a valley, which was successful, but I thought that was the last battle. It isn't. We have one more training mission today, which I believe will have us taking a look at some armor, which could be fun. We'll see. Let's go ahead and continue our journey. Tank Country. 26 September 1942, Virginia, United States.
So the six of us go downtown Bloomington, Indiana, for Indiana University. We're all going to join the Marines. Well, I still only weighed about 123 or 124 pounds, and I was 5'11", 6 foot tall. And the recruiter sort of hum-hawed around and said, well, we're filled up right now. You come back in 6 months. So we were all of us were tall, skinny, I guess. So we all went downtown, a couple blocks downtown Bloomington, walked in the recruiting office, Army, sat down, and the recruiter just gave us a piece of paper and says, sign here. Is that simple?
All right, 26 September 1942. By the way, 120 pounds and 6 foot is like... I was skinny as a rail, and I looked at photos of me in high school, or I was 6'2" and like 160, and I looked sickly skinny. Now, I know I had a couple of extra inches, which adds pounds, but still, that's skinny as fuck. Anyway, 26 September 1942, Camp Pickett, Virginia. Saturday morning, trouble in the barracks. Specifically, oh, okay, so we're going to actually get some officering. We get to do some administrative work here. 6 cartons of K-rations were found stashed in the ceiling. No cigarettes, no candies, no biscuits, Sergeant Bennett notes, as the two of you sort through the cardboard cartons. They left meat cans. Guess they weren't hungry for anything but sweets and cigs. Someone will have to answer for this. Theft. Apparently they're stealing. We can punish the whole platoon. We could punish the squad nearest to the stolen cartons, which seems unfair because then people who steal will just stash them near people they want to get in trouble. That doesn't seem right. We could investigate further or just ignore it. Let's investigate it further. And no jazz. So nothing. Let's see here. We can punish as a whole, punish the squad, do paperwork, no one will be punished yet, or ignore it. I do think discipline is important. I don't think being like an overly harsh taskmaster is important, but having discipline and making sure people aren't stealing, especially in the military, thieving. Now, they're not stealing from each other, they're stealing from Uncle Sam, which is a little bit different, but thieving generally is not a good thing to be tolerating of. I think we'll have to punish them as a whole, set the lesson that everybody is responsible for keeping each other in line. You're a unit, you're enlisted men, you're expected to look out for each other, but also be accountable to each other, and so I think we'll punish them as a whole. Now, with that being said, we could do 3 things. We could do a harsh punishment. They'll be heavily punished and gain some experience, but they will lose some trust in me, which is not good. They'll schedule additional guard duties. They'll be kind of a medium punishment, and a little bit of trust lost. Or we can schedule a heavy fire watch overnight. No trust penalty. They won't gain any experience, but it's a light punishment. And so I'd say for like a first-time offense, guys, don't steal. I'm going to punish all of you because I don't know who it was, but I'm not going to come down over the top of you too hard. If this continues, we'll have to escalate that punishment. But for now, we'll do a light punishment heavy fire watch overnight. The platoon shuffles to their collective feet as you announce the extra fire watch shifts. If the thieves want to move any stolen goods tonight, then perhaps they'll think twice about it. Naturally, Bennett assigns the worst of the shifts, the middle one, the likely suspects. We're losing good sleep because of bad thieves, Morris mutters under his breath to his pal. Yeah, hiding the cans up in the ceiling never works for long. Okay, so maybe just don't hide. That's not the lesson I wanted you to learn. I wanted you to learn not to steal, not to be better at thieves, but anyway. September 28th, so a couple days later, come the start of the next week, you and Bennett watch the men march past while Sergeant Grant calls cadence, their 2 lean rows to review their full packs and rifles, swaying beneath a colorful canopy, a fine Virginia day for a march, with blue skies and a cooling wind. I haven't really been tough. Come a long way. This is the end of the beginning. The end of the beginning, rather than the beginning of the end. Okay, Mr. Churchill. They've come a long way. You fall in beside them at your own gate, marching along their own. Along nearby road, you hear other officers of Nickel Company talking in the shade of a big oak tree. Their own platoons resting nearby. Can't say either way, Wilson says to Dearborn and Stern, his voice just barely edging above a marching song. You never know until you hear that first bullet snap. What are they talking about? Should I eavesdrop? Eavesdropping, I feel like, is usually frowned upon. Don't eavesdrop, but we'll do it anyway. Indeed, Dearborn replies. Battle is the only way to separate gold from dross, and our diligent lieutenant has yet to feel that heat. Hey, listen, for what it's worth, none of you guys have experienced... Maybe Wilson has experienced World War I, I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure none of them have experienced battle yet either. Stern stays notably silent. None of them quite glance your way when you finally approach. So why are they... First off, I'm not their company officer, so this is a little bit weird. I'm not Captain Lamb. I'm a platoon commander, just like the other 3 of them. So why are they like, oh, so what a sissy, we don't like him? Like, seriously, what the fudge? Why am I the outcast here, jerks? The cough of an engine breaks up the tromp of boots as a tank in the dark. Army green rattles down the road. Your men split off to either side and salute. Perched atop the oncoming tank is your company commander, Captain Lamb. He returns to see, like, that gossip from the previous section would make more sense if I was the company commander and they had doubts about me. But, like, talking amongst one of their own lieutenants, one of their own platoon commanders, as if they have doubts of me? I don't understand that. I mean, certainly you could, but it's not like they're more experienced than me or something. But hey, whatever. People gossip, you know. The military is basically like high school when it comes to gossiping, even amongst senior officers. So, perched atop the oncoming tank is your company commander, Captain Lamb. He returns the salute of your men, and then once the tank clatters to a halt, clambers down. Lieutenant, the Army is fixed in to prove additional training for Nickel Company. There will be armored integration exercises. Awesome. Captain Lamb says in his customary Texas drawl, your men have been chosen to fight alongside actual tanks. Excellent, sir. It is, Lamb says. Your record recommended your platoon to this training. Or maybe they were jealous that my platoon was getting tank training? I don't know. And I admire how you kept a firm grasp on them when need be. There's been some talk about having you train more platoons here in the States, but there are plenty of other officers for that. Wow! So my peers, maybe they're jealous. Maybe that's why. Maybe they got wind of this. Maybe I'm the favored son, and they don't like that. Because my captain sure is blowing smoke up my ass. But Lord knows, please don't Sobel me, because I do not want to just be training soldiers the rest of the war. I want to be in the fight. Let's grip the hide on this one. The men are able to march on over for a final field problem, Lamb says, but you'll guide this butte with the to the training ground and get an idea what a tank can do. Now pay special attention to the methods of our steely brethren, for they are a strange people. I heard that! A voice calls from inside the tank, barely topping the idling engine. A moment later, a scruffy tanker props his head out and stares at you, then Lamb. That's Sergeant Lintz, Lamb says, and neatly hides a grin. See you on the field. Lamb heads toward the gathering of Nickel Company officers, stepping beneath the shade of the big oak tree. Okay. Well, he's the boss. The captain gives the lieutenant an order, and that's how the army works, top down. You hop aboard the tank and take up a position behind the turret. There is, after all, no room inside for an extra man. The tanker, wearing recently sewn sergeant stripes, idly taps at the steel that virtually surrounds him. "Okay, where to, Lieutenant?" Sergeant Lentz asks, while the stenciled name on the side of the turret reads Bandit. Woo! They're fans of Bluey! Okay, if you're a dad, you might get that joke. Anyway, our initial objective is across the river there, but maybe you want to take the scenic view. Tell me about your tank. Well, the Army calls it an M3 light tank. Most people call it a Stuart. We have our own name for Lentz says, but what's important is that this bandit here has a 35mm cannon, 3 machine guns, and burns gas like a fox in a hen house. Across the way, an umpire signals you. Time to start. Okay, so we're riding on a Stuart, which is not my idea of a useful... Well, Stuarts have their use, but certainly not in tank combat. But hey, we're integrating with infantry, right? So there were actually a couple of tank-on-tank fights in the North Africa campaign with Stuarts, I believe, where their armor did better than initially, than I would have thought. I remember, what was his name? He wrote a trilogy of books on the American effort in the West Front, and it kind of brought it to a visceral description. I think it's like Army at Dawn or something like that. Anyway, time for Mississippi Drive, Sergeant Lentz says, and passes the rear of the cupola. Hang on tight to your chessboard. We'll be taking a few curves. Oh, and this game also lets you personalize your units. I've already kind of done that, so yeah, I changed my name to Lieutenant Butcher, which I don't think it was last time, but... Alright, so we've got a long, thin map for this one. We're here on the Stuart tank. We can pass through light woods, medium woods, not through heavy woods. Tanks are fine on roads. Can't pass through rocky terrain. Swamp terrain is utterly impassable. You can't go into the water. You can go over bridges. So a broken bridge here, whole bridge here. It's going to move us up the map here. Looks like some tank traps are going to funnel us through this main road here. Maybe some pillboxes on either side. Maybe some firing positions here. I don't know. And, yeah. So we're going to go all the way to the end of this map. Anyway. Let's move this tank. We can use waypoints with a tank just like anything else. So we'll do that. I don't see any reason to... Why would I just do... Yeah, select them... Whoa! Okay. That wasn't the route I thought I selected, but either way it didn't matter. We still got to where we were going. We gotta cross this bridge to this objective here. Okay. Driver eases into neutral and lets Bandit coast to a halt. Sergeant Lentz pops back up and gestures broadly to the field of green in front of you. Welcome to the range, Lieutenant. Sergeant Lentz calls out over the din of the engine. In a few minutes, we'll get to take some shots for real. The Bandit's little 37mm gun might seem like it's better suited for hunting squirrels, but it's got some kick. I mean, a 37mm was a good anti-tank gun at the start of World War II, but by 42, it's rapidly becoming obsolescent. Anyway, a few personal questions. All right, what do I say here? Why is your tank called the Bandit? Okay, so someone nicknamed it. Gunner, a good shot? Lamb said you were busted down. They limited us to 3 rounds on the range, Sergeant Lentz says, and apparently I can't count, but no harm done. All right, that means it's time to go more practice. Okay. Grenade training with potato was memorable. All right, enough chatting. Let's go. How do you want this, Lentz? I've given a lift to plenty of officers, and they all learn differently. So what are you? What kind of leader am I? Okay, what What's this? There's 8 different mindsets that a leader might employ to help them navigate the ever-present tension between men. Okay. Mindsets and crucibles. A crucible occurs when your leadership is tested by events. You will seek answers within yourself as you either reinforce previous mindsets or adopt to new ones to make sense of things. Your fellow leaders will likewise undergo crucibles. Sometimes you can steer them in a particular direction. Often the choice may come at a cost, but right now you are still in training. Okay. Mindsets. There are 3: aggressive, doctrine, idealism, and zeal. 3 others are preventative, cunning, discipline, and caution. And there are those centered specifically on the men or the mission, compassion or professionalism. Okay. So what about idealism or zeal? Doctrine is doing army methods. Idealism is inspiring the men. Zeal is overcoming trouble with vigorous effort. Okay. Cunning, discipline, and caution. Exploits new situations. Look out for the men. Okay, so a primary mindset influences what other mindsets they can learn to the left or of it. Ugh. So primary mindset, you can then go down this sort of circle to gain different mindsets. But based on the choices you make, you may not be able to accomplish all of them. So the primary mindset is kind of important because that sets the basis of your officer. You can have up to 5 total, I believe. No leader can be everything. That makes sense. Okay. Five possible mindsets, 3 can be enabled. So like this is all sort of leveling up your soldier, your officer. How does your character approach the world? How do they approach the problems we're going to face in war? Okay. What's elite esprit? Armies without men, motivated men, are brittle in battle. If the men bond together, especially with their leader, then they will move heaven and earth to survive the outcome. So compassion, band of brothers, company ability. Companies can deepen trust, reduce stress. Loyalty points are increased for lieutenant, more for a captain. Compassion comes at a personal cost. Increased combat fatigue. We haven't really touched on combat fatigue, but that's like combat fatigue is something you gain as you fight. On occasion, a squad moving with this leader regains a casualty. Huh, okay. Interesting. What are the other mindsets? Not going to do caution, I don't think. What's Iron Hearts? Discipline. Pour it on! This officer's men know how to gain fire superiority. They acquire a significantly enhanced chance to win initiative akin to flanking and improved fire effect akin to from above. The men also become undaunted when receiving fire. However, this costs the squad 2 orders to execute. On occasion of receiving fire, the officer and men will first become undaunted and then rally for free at their conclusion. Let's consider other mindsets. What's risk not? Send scouting party. Select a reachable hex. You're guaranteed to reveal all enemies in the targeted area. That sounds useful. Normal LOS check. Occasionally concealed enemy that has not been seen will be revealed. Okay, so despite my ingrained sense that caution in a leader on a battlefield, while prudence is important, caution often has a negative connotation of like unwillingness to commit. But these actually are some pretty positive traits here. So it's not really like bad or good. It's you've got the army way, your men know how to drill, the officer and their immediate reports gain an extra order. Ooh. Okay. That could be useful. Okay. but you don't gain experience as quickly. What are the other mindsets? Cunning. What's that? Infiltrate. So activate creep 2 hexes instead of 1. Unit must end in concealment. Okay. I actually think that's the one I want. Learning from that last map where we were struggling to move around and struggling to get close to the enemy and engage and charge them, I think being able to creep up to them and charge from a hex away more cheaply would be really useful. Also, it allows you to prepare an ambush, although you don't spot as effectively, which is not great. But let's do cunning. There's a bunch of other ones. I'm not going to go through all of them, but like, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to go do target practice with our tank now. So I have to go here. I can take the main road up the main hill, or I can take the side road. Let's take the side road. Why is it only selecting one of them? Oh, I have to end the turn. Can I press him? I could. There's no reason to press at this point, though. Okay, so we'll take the side road. It's closer, although it's more windy. Going up on this hill, in theory, might put us in an exposed position. We'd be kind of silhouetted, perhaps. Okay. All right, so we're going to go do some target practice now. Fire first, hit your mark, and go deep. Okay. Blue striped shells. What do those do? I have to end my turn, don't I? All right, let's get into this position. This looks like a little bit of a hold down position. You got like sandbags up here. You're a little bit elevated, but you've got sandbags in front. It shows cover, so let's race forward to that. Okay. Oh, there's potentially another enemy target over here, too. But we know there's a truck here, and our orders are to shoot the truck. So, shoot the truck. Missed. Gunner, high X, truck ahead. On my command, Sergeant Lynn says. Sounds off after it gives you the order. How the gunner hears him over the din is a question answered by his headset. Fire! Cannon cracks, the round slams down range and buries itself into the buried out truck. An explosion follows. That's high explosive, Sergeant Lynn calls over to you despite the ringing ears. We've also got shot for armored targets. So shot being like a rod of heavy metal or something like that. Like not really a sabot, but okay. Shot don't mean armor piercing. That's what officers call it, Sergeant Lentz replies, but it don't always penetrate. But it doesn't always get shot out. Only using it against armor, of course, like smacking flies with a Buick. Otherwise, and so for everything else, there's high explosive. Aim shot this time, Sergeant Lentz asks. Takes a bit longer, but we generally hit what we aim at, and the range hounds don't mind how long we take, just as long as we don't waste. Okay. Well, we can't do aimed shot until the next turn. So we'll go to turn with 17 turns left. And we'll do aimed shot. Do I have to rotate the thing? I'm not in firing arc. All right, so that answered my own question. Why can I not do aimed shot here? Aimed shot takes 2 orders? I don't have the patience for this. I want to press, but I also feel like I think there is a battle at the end of all this, so saving points would be worthwhile. There's also like an encyclopedia here for burden. I'm not going to take a look at that quite yet. Aimed shot. Hit the target. Missed. Okay. Apparently it's still a hit. Okay. Are the rounds supposed to bounce like that? Practice rounds are, Lentz says, and he hefts a slim 37mm round from below. It is a wide blue band about the brass, white lettering that boldly indicate, among other things, that this is for range use only. No sense using the good stuff or to break something. But don't you worry, when the time comes, we'll choose the best round for the target. You'll see that shortly when we go play with others. Okay. So now what? Wants me to move up that way? Alright. Well, gotta wait for the next turn. So I get my movement points back. Alright, just go this way. We'll drive over the sandbags. And then expose the side of our tank, and we'll move to the objective where it tells me to move. Oh, there's enemy infantry in the open! The bandit lurches to a halt. Ahead of you, you see squads shifting about mid-low cover. They've all got red armbands. That makes them the enemy. It's an ambush, Sergeant Lynn calls. The other crewmen let out a chorus of unsurprised chuckles. We're ever so lucky we spotted them. Could have been a mess even if they don't have anti-tank guns up front. Time to reverse to a protected position and wait for support. Yeah, I would say how they're just infantry, but anyway. All right. They're just infantry. And they can still throw flour on my nice clean hull, Sergeant. Oh, okay. They threw hull. Lacking more practical training devices, infantrymen would make training attacks on moving tanks by throwing packets of flour against the hulls. This particular image comes from the National Archive film. War Comes to America, 5/8. Okay. All right, well, I can't move until the next turn. We got a reverse command back here. We'll back up. Use both commands to back up twice. All right, now we'll wait for your boys to show. The tanks can't assault enemy positions after all. That's the infantry's job. What do they have that could kill your tank? Infantry, if they get close enough, can toss their flour grenades, Sergeant Lynn says. Also, their machine guns can chew up our track, even penetrate our top armor if they're elevated. 30 cals, no 50 cals sometimes. And if the track goes, then so do we become just a sitting duck for any cannon that wants to reach out and give us a nudge. So combined arms attack are the way of the game. That's the idea, Sergeant Lynn says. It was good to have you, but now, Lieutenant, you should rejoin your Mudfoots. See you around, Lynch. All right. So we're going to have a turn. It looks like we got wow! I would not want to be these bad guys here. We got a platoon coming in on the right flank, a platoon coming in on the left flank. They got 4 squads between them. We also want to take this objective, but let's just swing around and crush them. Oh, the tank is going right now. We'll end that round with the tank back there because I have nothing to really do with it right now since its movements are maxed. We will crawl Wilson's platoon to the cover. Why are they retreating? Retreating for what reason? Why did they retreat? I mean, I'm a little confused here. Press your boys. I want you. Oh, there's no cover here, I guess. Maybe that's the problem. I mean, it does say it has cover, though, so I'm not sure. Like, it's got the little shield icon. So, yes, they're exposed, but they should have cover. Anyway, we'll start shooting at these guys here in the rear from above. They've got an officer. Nice! We knocked their lieutenant out of action. Good shot, boys. Alright, so you're set up nicely on this ridge overlooking the enemy. That's it for your turn. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Butcher over here with his own boys is going to come forward here. Let's see if we can... Can we sneak forward here? Right, you're going to use your points up. Do I have any artillery? I do not. Let's see if I can just rush in there. I know I'll be exposed to fire, perhaps. Oh, I was able to make it. Alright. Get up on this rise. Hopefully you don't get shot. Shoot down on these guys here from above to suppress them. Can we suppress the enemy MG over here too? Yep. And that uses all my points up, but we're set up to assault this I guess left flank here, right flank here. Anyway, that's everybody. Tank can't really do anything yet, so move forward to the next turn. Final objective is just over there.
Hello, LT. It's Luke, breaking through the fourth wall one last time.
All right, Luke, what do you got to say?
Things are about to get real. The burden of command, the tension between men and mission, is about to increase. Your opponents will become more capable. So I'm wishing you the best of luck in making those difficult decisions. For making it through this campaign in this war, and for having an engaging experience. But more, I hope, and the vets who are on this team also hope, it will connect you to those who have served, not only in recent wars, but in World War II, like my own mother and father. I'll leave you with the thoughts of your division commander, General Truscott.
So it's trying to be like, hey, signing off. We're gonna be going to war here. The objective is to take over here. We've got an 81mm mortar, which is a new unit here. We've got our tank back here. We're going to pull it back up onto the rise and see if we can go ahead and shoot some of these guys. So let's use the tank to pound the enemy infantry back here. So hopefully they don't shoot me when I try and crush this entrenched boys here. So we'll hit them from behind, inflict some casualties. We're up on this little rise. So we got a nice little elevation there. It takes 2 to shoot, or is that just to accurately shoot? Because what happens if I press? Can I shoot again? I can. So we already suppressed these guys a little bit. Let's suppress the right flank boys too. Okay, so tank is suppressing both these rear platoons, or squads. Captain Lamb's going to come in here with some 81mm mortar support, and he can only hit them too. What? We can't suppress the MG? I should have hit them with my machine gun then. Oh, well, wait, actually I can... Let's do this. Let's move Lieutenant Lamb up onto this rise. I really want that perk to be able to crawl 2 hexes. Let's see if we get shot at for moving there. No. Okay, cool. Alright, go ahead and call in Artie now. Who can you hit? You can hit these boys who we're going to be assaulting. So probably should hit the guys we're going to be assaulting to the front. Hitting the machine guns might have been smart. I don't know. But it does also suppress... The nice thing is with artillery here, it does suppress adjacent units. You could see the suppression alert came up from multiple different units, not just the guys who we were attacking. All right, so this is the tank round, so we'll end that round. So now we can choose whoever we want to choose. Second squad, suppress the machine gun with rifle fire, I suppose. Okay. It does say they're suppressed, I know. Leader, bolster.
Let's get back out there.
And charge. We got pretty good odds for it to go through, but not guaranteed. All right. So we went ahead and got them to surrender. Plus, I think they had a lieutenant in their stead, too. So nice little effective charge there forward by, is that myself, Butcher. All right. So first enemy squad destroyed. Let's see... That's it for his company, I guess. So the first squad could actually... Can they charge down here? No? What if Captain Lamb bolsters them? Because he can do the captain thing.
Get the lead out of your butt.
We can have the captain go down here and charge with his boys, charge forward with the platoons if they pass the morale check, and they do.
Let's get moving.
To at least start moving.
Let's get them.
Nice. Surrenders. So we broke their left flank with my platoon. One of the squads being led by Lamb himself. One of the squads being led by myself. Butcher. That's me. Go ahead and use our remaining point over here to suppress these bad guys in front of us. Again, all these bad guys are suppressed. So it keeps telling me, like, what are you doing? But whatever. They do have some troops back here on the back line, but I don't think we're going to bother going for them. So our officer can do what? So if they're fully suppressed, I should be able to get into this wood line in front of the MG, right? So we'll do that. We are exposing ourselves to fire. There's bad guys up here that could shoot at us as we move. But nobody does. That does it for that turn. Wilson, you need to bolster your boys. You can't because you're not adjacent to them. So you got to get in with them. Bolster.
Lace up your boondockers. We're finishing this.
Charge. So far, these morale checks are going very well, and we just knocked out a second enemy squad, which had an officer present. So Wilson's boys did a good job. Can that same company come down here and take out this other, or the same squad come down? No. We got our first failed morale check. I couldn't move any of these other units under Wilson. He didn't have enough movement points left. Lamb had already used his. So I thought maybe we could just have him charge and take this squad out and then charge down here and take this squad out, but didn't quite work that way. So that'll do it for the turn. All right. We still got our tank back here. We'll have him hit first. Go ahead and hit the MG, the objective. So suppress them. Can they not shoot twice? I could order a recon and fire, couldn't I? Or is it not? I guess you can't shoot twice with them here. Should have bolstered first, huh? All right, Captain Lamb. Bolster your squad.
Get it together.
And then go charge these guys. That's a long charge. Again, this is training, but I hope maybe less long open field charges are the way to... I know you need to suppress and close at the enemy to destroy them. That is an accurate battle tactic, but it feels a little bit bayonet-y so far in this fight for my taste. In any event, that was first squad, first platoon. But we're still... That's right, we're still on the tank's orders here, so we'll end that round. Now, these MGs are not fully suppressed yet. I don't think I can charge them, but we can go ahead and suppress them. Okay, now they're red, so they're as suppressed as they can be.
Give it to them.
See if they can get up to that tree line.
Move it.
Can they charge them? No, they don't have the points to do it. Lamb might be able to get up there, though. Just send Lamb up there. Just by his lonesome. How far can he get? Just the red under fire sections? Does he have mortar fire he can call in? He does. Call it in on the other MG back here. Nice, they did some damage casualty-wise, too. Alright, just Captain Lamb. Expose yourself, Lamb. Get yourself shot. Alright, that's the end of Wilson's turn. These guys are fully suppressed. So let's move down here. They don't want to move under exposed fire, huh? I want to destroy all the I want to stack wipe them, and that's kind of like we could potentially destroy the last objective here, but to what end, you know? Men, major victory. If we do this, presumably now, more experience perhaps if we take him out, but I guess the prudent thing is time's always important in these things, so let's just take the objective.
Drop packs! Charge!
Charge! There we go. A cry of victory goes up. The objective is taken. We got him, boys! Sergeant Bennett calls out. Red team just lost again, Sergeant Grant notes. The men of Nickel Company cheer wearily and gather around. The tank likewise draws near, chewing up the ground as it goes. No, 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 the field umpire shouts as he moves up to the tank and smacks its side twice. That halts the muddy endeavor. Huh? That halts the muddy endeavor. You'll get bogged down! He's not wrong. Sergeant Bennett notes as the two of you walk over to hear the official results from the latest exercise. Once more, the field umpire turns to you with a clipboard in hand. Behind him, the tank slips into reverse. The field umpire is slow to realize his looming fate. Bennett pushes the officer out of the way of the grinding treads. But the treads don't stop clawing backwards. Bennett falls into their path. Graphic image warning. Okay, so looks like we got a decision. First off, Bennett, you should have let the umpire get crushed. Heroic and all, but I need you, man. So we now have a choice. Do we try to pull Bennett free? High chance Bennett will survive. High chance you will suffer a permanent injury. Do we leap onto the tank and pound on the hatch? Low chance that Bennett will survive. Low chance that you receive a permanent injury. Or do we turn away? No graphic image will be seen. Slight chance Bennett will survive. Turning away, just like hum-de-doo-de-da. Really? That feels a bit cold. I don't want to get myself maimed, though. I don't know what happens. Like, I'm assuming the game doesn't end if I lose a finger or get run over by a tank, or, well, I don't know what lose a finger, but, like, so I'm going to try and pull Bennett free. Will it, like, crush my hand? Like, what happens? Does the permanent injury affect my ability to lead my boys in a fight? Oh, whatever. Let's try and pull him free. You race toward Bennett. His leg goes under the track with a sickening crunch. Though you pull with all your might, it will not move. Medic! Sergeant Grant calls, even as you strive to move the immovable. Sergeant Bennett does survive. And it's a draw. Is it just automatically a draw because the clipboard guy nearly got crushed? Sergeant Bennett was maimed. Okay, so Bennett's maimed, so I'm assuming he's not in the war anymore. My eyes snap open. Captain Lamb looms above. His aquiline features pale in the naked light of the cramped wardroom. You okay? He asks. The shared pain from the training accident is still written in his eyes, even after these busy weeks. It's a time to get up, Lieutenant. The final briefing's in 5 minutes. Okay. The bunk shifts beneath you, but that's not unusual for you or anyone else. Captain Lamb extends a hand to help you to your feet. The subtle shift of the ship beneath your boots nearly makes you stumble. A creak of the hull, followed by a low moan of protesting steel, is an unpleasant reminder that home is now far away. We're on the Tasker H. Bliss AP-42. 8th November. So, what, a month and a half later? Ship creaks and groans all around. Lamb leads the way toward the briefing room. You've grown used to the old troop ship's complaints during the crossing, but you won't have to put up with them for much longer. Tasker H. Bliss, salvaged from her final journey to the breakers, this once elegant passenger ship was hurriedly refitted, stuffed with soldiers and sailors, and forced to make one last... Oh, so she was like literally going to be scrapped. Okay. The hull leaked, and when pumps broke down, a constant bailing brigade had to pass buckets to keep her from sinking. Jesus Christ! And they sent troops on this? Like, anyway. Be one thing if it was cargo, but you're sending valuable combat infantry. I hate waiting. I know you're still having a bad time with what happened to Bennett, Captain Lamb says, as the two of you walk through the busy corridors lined with empty barracks and torn screws. Remnants of furniture that used to clutter the halls of the Bliss in its past life as a liner. He should be here rather than strapped to a bed. But we can't change that, and we can only accept our responsibility and keep moving. Maybe having his wife nearby will help. Realism is how well a leader learns to cope with their combat fatigue. Wow, that's cynical. You are not realistic if you think having his wife will help? Okay. I could have done more. Combat fatigue plus 20, realism plus 1. Or, I know I keep telling myself that. Combat fatigue plus 10. Every 100 points is a milestone that increases the chance of stress, and stress reduces morale. That feels like 1/5 of the way up the combat crack. Cracking under strain is a bit high for what happened in training. But I will say, I remember when I was reading Masters of the Air, the book, not the show, There was an officer who completed his air tour over Europe in 1944, I think it was, flying B-17s. He came back to the States and he did a couple of training missions over North Carolina, and he decided it was more dangerous to be in training flights with basically crews that were only learning how to fly B-17s and formations, and just everything was chaos. He's basically like, it was safer to go back to Europe and fly another tour against the Germans at that point than it was to be back home. And so he made that decision to go back to Europe for another tour. What I wish I knew was if 100 is the step for combat fatigue, what's the step for realism dealing with that? Like, what is 1 realism equal to 20 combat fatigue? Because if that, then this is a wash. But anyway, I could have done more. I understand, Captain Lamb replies. I know the feeling. But listen, what we need right now is a field officer. That's why I fought for your transfer. Or wait, that's why I fought your transfer. When the orders come down, I know you'll lead your men. You'll weigh the mission against men you know, men who have someone waiting for them at home. That's our burden. Okay, so, like, Lamb really likes me. I must be his heir apparent. I won't let you down. I'll do my part. We've all got something to prove out there, Captain Lamb says as he turns to face you. Behind him, a team of crewmen carry a man on a stretcher past the wounded man's arms lies at a hard angle, and white bone juts out. Not a single boat has been lowered, and now, regardless of whether we admit that or not, his eyes meet yours and his resolution is impossible to ignore. Shouts arise from the deck, a deck packed with soldiers, guns, and ordnance. It never ends, does it? Captain Lamb mutters as he hurries up the ladder, leaving you alone in the threshold of the briefing room. Captain's in a hurry, you hear? Private Roberts says, at the din of a nearby mess hall. The enlisted men... So this is a new Private Roberts. I don't think we've heard from him yet. The enlisted man cradles a mess tin filled to the brim with what could be charitably called potatoes and eggs. The stuff is only edible due to a layer of ketchup. Even then, the worst of Sergeant Layton's cooking has been better than what the Navy's galley serves here. Have to expect that with Lamb, Private Hancock replies to his fellow private, an equally ketchup-drenched mess and tin in his hand. He needs to keep busy. Why is that? Private Roberts asks, as his friend's confusion edging into his features. Well, word is Lamb's old man really screwed up back in the last big one, Private Hancock says. Oh God, not a Top Gun moment. I gotta do it the way my dad didn't do it. Okay. Got 100 men killed in France. Soldiers gossip all the time. I don't need to bust their asses. I'm not their sergeant. The pair glance your way briefly and then continue to talk as they make their way up the ladder, heading up for the open hatch, fresh air, and invasion preparation. Lieutenant, a familiar voice calls from behind you as the two privates disappear. You turn to see Sergeant Grant, his features tight with their usual strain, as he steps into the corridor's sparse light. In his sinewy hand, he cradles a cup of steaming dark liquid that doesn't clog the nose like the usual black strip coffee. Our captain thought that you could use this, he explains. Okay. As what? Paint striper? I know Navy coffee. Well, what else are they going to do with leftover battery acid? Sergeant Grant asks. He hands you the cup. The coffee's a rich brown instead of the usual tar-like horror that the crew of the Bliss normally brews. Its warmth in your hands proves a welcome ally against the night chill. Nickel Company's other lieutenants are already seated when you step through the door. The briefing room readily just... So wait, I guess I didn't get hurt? Was I maimed? Maybe I missed that. Because it showed like a bloody stump of a hand, but I don't remember it telling me I was injured. Anyway. It's been a long trip. It's been a long trip on this most pleasant luxury liner, Major Cloud remarks, letting a scattering of nervous laughter from the officers fade before he swings his pointer to the largest of the maps. But here we are, gentlemen. Welcome to French Morocco. Sip my coffee and listen. The coffee proves hot and bracing enough to dispel the last of your weariness. Major Cloud's pointer sticks stick smacks against a map pinned beside the chalkboard. A slice of Morocco is inked there, though the details are sparse. At 04:45 hours tomorrow, our regiment will land as part of the 3rd Infantry Division under Major General Patton. Our objective is to subdue all French, that is to say Vichy French, forces in Morocco. In particular, 3rd Battalion will be landed last as a reserve to assist the 1st and 2nd battalions in their effort to seize key fortifications and coastal batteries here. The tip of the pointer slides over to the arc of a sheltered harbor near a small port town called Fidelia. Okay. So we're not in the first wave. I don't need to be sarcastic in this case. I don't need to be talking. I don't need to be the vocal lieutenant. I'm just paying attention and drinking my coffee. The coffee doesn't lose its charm until near the bottom, where you finally start tasting the bitter grits of the ground. With the tip of his pointer, Major Cloud outlines the landing beaches, red 3, 2, and 1, the last of which is where your company will come ashore. This is America's first operation in the Western Theater. We can't afford to foul this up, Major Cloud declares. We have a surprise. We'll use it to overwhelm the Vichy and Fidelia before Casablanca can send reinforcements. Until our artillery lands, the Navy will lend us their guns. For air power, we'll have the planes of the USS Ranger. Oh, we'll have surprise. Okay. We're trusting our lives to the Navy. I'm just going to keep drinking my coffee. The dregs are bitter but potent. You feel entirely awake. The pointer... What's Hitler doing here? Pétain led the Vichy government and was always under pressure from Germany. He is seen here shaking hands with Hitler at Montreuil. Okay. The dregs are always bitter but potent. You feel entirely awake. The pointer slides inland and taps against the possible enemy concentrations. Most of the French soldiers posted here are colonial troops, so they might not want to fight for Marshal Pétain, the major continues. But if they do, don't hesitate to open fire. Speed is key. Major Eugene Cloud's 3rd Battalion landing 1 hour later would advance inland and cut the highway and railway outside Fidelia. Tanks, artillery, engineers, and anti-aircraft troops would support each battalion. Okay. The pointer races to the expected line of advance from the landing zone through Fidelia and onto Casablanca. As stated, the 1st and 2nd Battalion will form the initial waves. N Company, Major Cloud says, will look directly while looking directly at you. Will act as... Wait, am I the... I'm confused. I'm not the company commander, but they keep talking as if I am. Or is he just looking at me and the other officers around me? 3rd Battalion to go ashore an hour after the initial landings. If there are problems once ashore, it falls to us to step out of reserve. What about civilians? What if we don't meet any resistance? Put my mug down and wait for Major Cloud to finish. Around you, the room remains quiet. Your fellow officers glance at each other nervously as if waiting for someone else to speak. How far are we liberating, Major? Captain Lamb asks as he steps through the door. His hands are blackened by oil and grease that a rag can't quite clean. Get ashore first. I expect we'll head for Fidelia and then push on toward Casablanca, Major Cloud replies. After that... Berlin, Captain Lamb asks, arching an eyebrow. So Captain Lamb is a good he's sarcastic too. Gotcha. If you get there, book me in at the Kaiserhof Hotel. I'm reliably told that suites are excellent, Major Cloud says, and lets slip in a chuckle. Only a few others join in. What is it, Captain? My executive officer just got here. Or just got his hand crushed in a cleat. Wait, oh, so my hand did get crushed, I guess. And I'm his executive officer. That was not clear. I thought I'm a platoon commander. Anyway. Nickel Company's going into battle, and I've lost my good right hand until I can get someone to handle the back end of the company. I'm very confused. Now, Major Cloud asks. We're in the first wave. We start loading in half an hour, Captain Lamb says. Unfortunately, there are no spare officers, Captain, Major Cloud replies. At least, I told my wife I would never volunteer. Wait, I'm confused here. Who got crushed in the cleat? That's not me, I guess. I didn't think Bennett was the executive officer. I thought he was a sergeant. This is not clear. Not clear to me at all. Or was that... Or no, a cleat. What is a cleat? Okay, so actually a cleat is like the line thing on a ship, right? So I guess this is not the tank accident. This is a different accident. So Lamb's executive officer was just injured. Told my wife I would never volunteer. This might as well be me. Volunteer, don't volunteer. Never volunteer in the military, right? Sir, this might as well be me. Well, I'm just gonna look like a brown noser now, standing up in front of all the other men. Anyway. Major Cloud tenders you a little nod of gratitude before he looks back to Lamb. There's your answer. No, sir, I'd rather not rob Peter to pay Paul, Captain Lamb says. My platoon needs leaders. You know I'm down an experienced first sergeant already, and now his replacement is in the sick bay with a burning fever. That's why my XO had to do the loading. Only now I don't have an XO. Major, I've got to have someone who can take the initiative with the company while I'm otherwise engaged. Major Cloud shakes his head. Then you'll have to wear both hats, Eli. Both hats. Eli, we can't spare anyone. Okay. Why is he like having this out in front of the entire battalion? This is a strange... Captain Lamb tenders his superior officer a resigned, if understanding, nod, and that seems to be that for your chance to become an XO. Major Cloud glances at his watch. It is now nearly midnight, and he announces as he looks back up, we start loading the boats at 0:15. God willing, we'll be moving inland before sunrise at 6 o'clock. Beneath the midnight sky, your platoon clatters down the nets into the shadows of the hull of a Higgins boat. One by one, their boots set foot on the plywood shell of the landing craft with muffled thumps. 30 men packing into a one fragile hull. Dang it! Corporal Crossley shouts as he slips into the gunwale of a landing boat. His arms pinwheel as he tries to keep his balance. Sergeant Grant's arm shoots out, grabbing the man and hauling him into the boat. But Crowley's bar, the squad's only automatic rifle, flies from his shoulders. Great. The weapon clatters against the hull as it slides toward the stern. Just before it plunges into the deep, the strap is caught by a cleat on the outer hull. It dangles there, just inches above the inky water, between the landing craft and the rusted bulk of the Tasker H. Bliss. Didn't you hear Crossley, Patterson cracks in the darkness? They canceled gymnastics at the Olympics. The platoon chuckles nervously as the bar gunner rises. With the boat due to depart in a few minutes, there's no time to draw a replacement weapon. Without the bar, your squad is down their rifles. And as Morris pointedly notes by panning at Crossley's sheathed bayonets. We're supposed to be the regular army. Sergeant Grant hauls Crossley over, jaw clenched at the latest screw-ups before you even hit the beach. Here and now a fresh chance to lead these men in a wartime army. The question is, new lessons or old habits? Crossley looks at you apologetically. Sorry, Lieutenant, he mumbles just above the idle thrum of the engine. The Higgins boat trumps against the hull, threatening to dislodge the weapon and possibly crush anyone unlucky enough to get caught between the two vessels. Okay. Reselect a mindset from zeal, cunning, professionalism, or discipline. Reselect a mindset from idealism, zeal, cunning, or professionalism. I'm the only one who can grab it. Lieutenant? Grant asks tentatively as you pass your helmet and hop onto the stern. Everyone on the boat is watching you, of course. Even the jaded naval coxswain. You can't blame him. You're the only one willing to risk this. The deck is pitching, so basically don't get crushed between the hulls, right? Like, that's a good, fast way to get maimed. The deck is pitching, and the hull of the transport looms perilously close. The feeble blackout lamps flicker amid the gloom. The stern rises and falls with each swell. You creep forward and reach a hand toward the errant weapon. The strap is wedged tight, but you manage to work it free. Bit by bit, you pull the automatic rifle back aboard. When you drop back into the deck with the dripping weapon, a round of cheers erupts, followed by the light laughter when you return the bar to the offending corporal with a flourish. Okay, so let me just say, one, that's a cool little thing to have happen. But also, my guy might have a death wish. Because I don't think it said I crushed my hand. Because you can, by the way, you can be maimed. I must have gotten lucky in that Bennett survived and that I was not maimed in the tank accident. But anyway, so I guess I wasn't maimed in the tank accident, I think. And apparently now I'm like jumping around Higgin boats and like not getting crushed against troop transports. So you would think between saving a dude's life, pulling him out behind of a tank, and this, maybe I'm liked. Verbosity and sarcasm down 1. Don't make me do your job too, Corporal. Well, anything else you want to try and get rid of? I always said I wanted to be the sarcastic one, so. No, Lieutenant, Corporal Crossley stammers. No. You look over just in time to see Sergeant Grant and the last of your men climb aboard. With the loading finished, you turn to the coxswain. Get this boat moving. The Navy man turns the wheel and opens the throttle. At long last, you're on your way. Okay. So we're going to continue our journey, but that'll be for another time. We've already gone over an hour here. My character has almost 2 stars of experience. Wow. Our first squad is 300 out of 500 experience. I wonder if you get the third... Oh, no, they've got a third order chit now, too. First squad, first platoon are the old guard of the Butcher's platoon because they now are considered veterans, even though we haven't fought yet, at least based on the experience mechanic. Those dudes are the best best squad in the company, I guess. So, cool. We could spend more prestige to get them to 4 stars, but... Alright, anybody close to another star? Because I've got 10 loyalty and 8 prestige to spend. What's this? Trust earned. Typically in combat, a leader that leads from the front puts his own ass on the line and will inspire more trust. So what happens if I get more? Okay. Okay. So I have way more trust than anybody else. Now, I'm assuming this 150 trust is probably because of doing that bar thing and then also saving the dude from the tank. Anyway, so I think all of our companies have at least... No, actually, first squad, third platoon does not. And then second squad, second platoon, and third platoon, or third squad are both... Second platoon, second squad, and third squad are also both green. No experience perks. Okay. So nobody's really all that close to the next level up. Third squad could be, but I don't want to spend 2 upgrades to get it there. Okay. Spend 2 upgrades to get another 2 chit unit down there. I've got 2 more upgrades I can do. Won't get anybody to the next level, but let's just do upgrades on the 2 squads within 2nd platoon because they're so far behind everybody else. And then our journey will continue with the landings in Morocco, but that'll be for another time. Until next time. Actually, let's double check here real quick. I don't think... Captain Lamb, I have him Captain Butcher. So we are... Is there anywhere where you, like, see... I'm going to change my portrait. This guy looks like the guy in, what's the Guadalcanal movie that came out around the same time as Saving Private Ryan? I forget what. But he looks like the terrible officer in that. The company commander just charges his men across the countryside to get obliterated. I kind of like this one better. This guy is just too dough-faced. This guy looks more like a pro. So does this guy, but that association, the thin red line, the association with the thin red line kind of throws me. So let's save it to that portrait. It'd be nice if there was like a spot where you could track all of your events, but I guess there isn't. Anyway, guys, we've been going for over an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up here. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Please leave your thoughts down below, and in our next episode, we will actually start fighting the war. So, hope you guys are enjoying. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out. Bye-bye.